What's going on, everybody? Dr. Grimmett from Forge Physio. Today we're going to go over bicep isometrics. So we have a chain that we have punched through the hole on a squat rack here. So we have an immovable object, and then we just have like a handle attachment using carabiners to link it up. And then in between that, we have what's called the Tindeq device, Tindeq. And this is a load cell that will sync to your phone. So some of our clientele is dealing with chronic type of tendon issues, or maybe someone that's coming off post-surgical. We will typically have them get a Tindeq unit so they can see on their phone exactly how many pounds of force they're producing. It's really useful for long-term overload and being able to see like how much effort am I actually putting in to that muscle group. So when we're doing isometrics, we typically want to do 3 different joint angles or more, due to the nature of if I do an isometric with my arm close to being extended, I only get a 15-degree carryover in each direction. So if I got my elbow bent to 90 and I do an isometric, I'm going to get 15 degrees into flexion and 15 degrees into extension. So I want to make sure I'm getting the full joint. And then the other piece is most of the time we're going to encourage people to change the angle relative to where their elbow is to their shoulder. So if I get my elbow out in front of me, that's going to change both ends of the muscle essentially into a shortened position. And then if I get my elbow back behind me, it's going to shorten at the elbow and lengthen at the shoulder. So we will typically play around with the isometric position of the shoulder joint and the elbow. And then the last piece is going to be, where is your grip at? So the clientele that we've worked with, sometimes a full palm up position or a supinated position is the most comfortable spot to go. So we'll start them there. For others, it's more of a neutral grip position to where they'll have to kind of be like so. That gets a little bit awkward to load with a handle like this. So we'll have to kind of be creative, and typically what we'll do is we'll sit people down, lower their torso angle to change the angle, so that way it's not so uncomfortable on the wrist, or they'll feel best in a more of a pronated position and pulling up that way. So either we're going to depict it for you, or we want you to play around with it and figure out exactly which movements are the most sensitive, and then we can build out some progressions from there. So most of the time, we're going to ask people to start with anywhere from 20 to 30 second sustained holds, and you're going to push to the barrier till we get a slight discomfort and hold. You don't want to push into a bunch of pain. And let's say that was a 30-second hold. I'd take my carabiner and I would lower it down the chain. So now I'm in a higher elbow position, and I would do another 20, 30-second hold. And then I would take my carabiner and I would lower it again. And now I'm up in a more shortened position doing that isometric. And then I could play around with my elbow angle, or my shoulder angle, excuse me, which is going to change the sensation that you're going to feel. So the key that we are typically doing with isometrics is we're trying to increase neural drive. We're trying to get your nervous system to be a little bit more activated, to increase force production without having a massive pain stimulus. So when you're doing this, don't push into a bunch of pain. Ask yourself, is this pain? If it's actually pain, then can we change the intensity? Can you push less, get a good muscle contraction, and not have that pain response? Because that's the goal. We're trying to introduce you to more and more movement variations that we typically will start with an isometric and then build out from there. So take-home messages are going to be changing the arm angle to 2 or 3 different angles, and then we're trying to change our elbow position to be able to load the bicep in a couple different angles, and then we're going to be changing our wrist position as well. So this can be time consuming and rather boring, but we challenge you to be intentional with your setup position, make notes of it. And then if you're really wanting to dive into the details, a Tindeq, it's a pretty inexpensive device. It's a great tool that you can utilize for all sorts of testing, but it's amazing to have for that immediate feedback. You can literally put your phone and see the numbers change as you're going through the motion.